Here we go. It's called It's Not Magic, Just Hard Work. Leads him in his first generation, an overly prepared, meticulous captain, sitting in his chair as he goes through the motions. Inside the wheelhouse, take on a notion, so much to prove, everything at stake. Command of his vessel, few errors or mistakes. Mouse in the crew, they'll get the job done. The tanks are full, and he says, let's get going. 24/7, several weeks straight. Deck cans and greenos, pots loaded with bait. Captain keeps him grinding, and he knows it's gotta hurt. Tells him it's not magic, it's just hard work. The sun begins rising, moon sits quietly just beyond the horizon. The skipper knows something's gotta pick up the pace before the catch becomes dead end. They all lose a race. 40-foot seas and the ice on decks building. Gotta push our crew harder and try and keep things moving. Grabbing the pots, they're there for a reason. Hauling the treasure at last to wrap up the season. 24/7, several weeks straight. Deck cans of green on, pots loaded with bait. Captain keeps him grinding, and he knows it's gotta hurt. Tells him it's not magic, it's just hard work. Those superstitions, pushes his buttons towards a bad situation. Competing with skippers, fighting with brothers, taking on trouble, and he knows he'll be others. Finding the balance, walking that line, keep everyone safe without losing his mind. Taking them licks and learn all them lessons. How much to be done. Of a captain, 24/7, several weeks straight. Deck cans and greenos, pots loaded with bait. Captain keeps him grinding, and he knows it's gotta hurt. Tells him it's
Songwriting will take you places. And if there's any doubt whatsoever, keep on writing and see where it takes you. That was a song that I did for my friend Captain Keith Colburn of the Fishing Vessel Wizard, and you may have seen him on the Discovery Channel's Deadliest Catch. And I had no idea that after writing that song that I had an opportunity to not only perform it on his boat amongst a number of crew members, but I guess it struck a chord with him as well too. And this could be your story if you continue to write songs and write for others, write for yourself. It really depends on who you want to write for, right? So anyway, I'm Tom Lamog, and I'm with Guitars for Vets Cyber Chapter and with Cav Arts. And you know them as the Challenge America Veteran Arts Community, hosting session 3 of our 4 sessions focusing on lyric writing. And for the next 90 minutes, I'll be moderating today's discussion with some of the guest musicians that you may have seen on some of the other shows that we do, including Song Sung True, A Veteran's View. Together, we will help get you, the aspiring songwriter, closer to your goals in writing your first song. But before we get to introducing you to these wonderful guest panelist songwriters, it's time to bring back our friend Ken Busby, who, as you recall, started things off with our primer series with Becoming a Songwriter, introducing us to Andrea Stolpe's Becoming a Songwriter videos, and also the course guide, and we're doing a deep dive based on that. But Ken, it's great to have you back again for week 3. How's it going?
It's great to be here, Tom. Yeah, it's doing great. Into the meat and potatoes of the class right now, in my opinion.
Truly.
This last part of the lyrics classes are really important. You got lyrical lens, you got vantage point, the importance of title, and finally point of view. The major parts of a song, putting it together and writing it out. So today's going to be a great class. I look forward to it. I'm glad to see a lot of people, a lot of familiar faces in the participating today. So looking to see what they have to offer. I've been reading the comments in the community. Energized and
into it. Everyone's into it. It's great to see, and a number of them are here. And a heads up to everyone who is attending today. This is meant to be a collaborative conversation. You'll learn by contributing. I mean, we would like to encourage you to prepare the reading of some of the writings that you've done, so you can, first of all, hear it for yourself. If you haven't read it back to yourself, read it to others and see how that felt. Did it feel genuine? Did it communicate the right message? So we're going to do a little bit of that today and probably for next week, but we're also going to go back and revisit some of the things that we talked about to reinforce some of the exercises and the takeaways from each of those different chapters. Is there something you're looking forward to, Ken, in this particular session?
Yeah. Titles are always great for me. Like we talked about earlier, me and my wife were out to eat, and the place where we were eating, they have these things on the tables, and it's a map of Yellowstone National Park, and it's just a placemat. And on here was a river called Tongue River. I don't know anything about Tongue River or anything like that. The name just sounded catchy.
Is that the title of the next song?
Okay. I went home that night and I wrote a song about Tongue River. Have no idea what Tongue River is, what it looks like, anything, but came up with a catchy tune and some lyrics, and it worked out pretty good. So.
I bet you're going to be reading that to us.
Yeah, I will.
If not today, then the next week for sure.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Okay, my friend, I'll let you go. And we've got 3 really, really talented songwriters to kind of contribute to our conversation today. I'm so thrilled to introduce them, because getting time to talk with them is not an easy thing to do. They're very busy. They got their own musical appearances that they make. They're still actively songwriting, and of course they've got their lives as well too. So I would like to first of all introduce, let's see, where is Mr. Jack Blaise? It is so great to see. We just had you as a guest on Song Sung True not too long ago, and it was such a wonderful conversation filled with great original music and stories. And so I'm so glad you were able to find time to come back and visit and talk a little bit about your songwriting ventures and such, and maybe help mentor some of the students here who are looking to write their first song. So welcome.
Absolutely.
How you been?
Howdy. Yeah, as you said, I'm Jack Blaise. I'm down here in Houston right now. I am headed up to East Texas, though, when I leave here. I haven't been playing any gigs or anything lately. I've got some songs, though. I just recently released my first studio single, but it's actually a cover. I did a version of When Doves Cry. Next, though, is going to be one of my first songs that I played for y'all last time on Song Sung True. A little bit about me. I've been writing songs for about 6 years now, I would say, off and on.
Are you learning a few things?
Yeah.
Are you consider yourself like a student to songwriting, even though you've done your?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I am still very much figuring it out. I feel very honored to be asked to even do things like this, because I'm like, I'm just as much of a beginner as most people, I would say, but
hey, nothing wrong.
It's a great process.
It's a lifelong journey, I'm finding.
Right.
I wrote that song that we opened the show with. That was about 12 years ago, and I had shared with Paul Lilly, our chapter coordinator, that I have not written a song in 3 years. I feel really rusty, and it's like I really need to learn a few tips. And thank goodness for Andrea's course and for this workshop as well too. And well, thanks. Listen, we'll come back to you. I want to introduce our other guests. So Jack, hang in there. We'll be back. The next guest that we have is our ambassador, one of our ambassadors for Guitars for Vets. And you have seen him before because Jesse Frewerd was also a part of our primer series with Ken. He spent a little bit of time talking about some of the information that was found in that course guide. So Jesse, you just came off this big concert, from what I can tell, is just a big live event, Operation Finally Home. How'd it go?
It was amazing. Yeah, everyone was super attentive, listening, taking in the words, and yeah, great response afterward. Just a lot of comments, and yeah, it was amazing time, and getting to know the professionals too, like getting a chance to talk with them.
These professional songwriters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Nestler and Bryce Long. So yeah, they got a bunch of hits. So it was pretty cool to get the chance to chat with them too.
I bet some people here are feeling like, you know what, these guys who are guests like yourself are songwriters. They're thrilled to have your attention for the next 90 minutes for its entirety today. I know you're going to have to check out and head elsewhere after a little bit, but it's great to have you along for the ride. And let me go ahead and bring. Yeah. We're definitely going to be talking here. So let me come back to you in a moment.
Sounds good.
All right. And I'd like to bring in our third songwriter who we've also had on Song Sung True, and that's Schaefer Mueller. Schaefer from Alaska today, coming to us live from Alaska. Hey, could you relate to that video? I'm just curious because, Alaska, crab fishing and all that whole thing.
Yeah. When I saw it, I thought you're going to bring up the fact that deadliest catch in Alaska and all that. I was thinking about it. I was like, dang, I know some guys that out there doing that. And I actually know some guys out there on the Gold Rush show too. I was like, man, all these deep shows.
Yeah, they've been around a while. Yeah, well, it's great to have you back. How have you been? You've been, I know we've been kind of playing, tag. You pretty busy about doing some other things as well. How's things with the music going?
It's going all right. We've been running around left and right, and took this week and last week off for family reasons, and going to get right back into it next week, nonstop for the summer. Tourist season up here is pretty much the only time to play music full time, so it'll be 4 or 5 times a week out, just humping it. So, and
it's that time of the year, right?
It's starting. It's last night I came to the realization it's summer now, because it was midnight and the sun was still up, and I was like, it's that time of year. All right, so that's when the tourists start coming. When the sun doesn't set, they're everywhere.
Oh man, that sounds like a great song.
Yeah.
Gotta think.
Not a bad thought.
Probably, yeah. You probably have already written one though.
No.
It's just you've written a few. You've written a few songs that we got to hear live. Um, but listen, I am thankful for all of you to come along for the ride to my guests, and I'm going to bring everyone back up on screen here right now because I would like to pose the first question. And let me see. Let me bring Jesse back up. But before I throw that first question out as a panel discussion, I just want to let everyone know that the chat feature is enabled. You're welcome to go ahead and throw in your comments and your questions. If you can keep your microphone closed until you have something to say, or like Q&A, then by all means go ahead and get our attention. Open your mic if you have to, and then just let us know. We have also got an opportunity to go through later today some of the work that each of you students have done. And so get that ready if you would like to share that, just to read it out loud, or if you want to get feedback from it. We're going to give you the opportunity in this session today to do that. And the objective today, chapters 8 through 10. So we're going to try and touch on those, some of the highlights, do a little deeper dive on any questions that come up. But right now, let's go ahead and first of all get re-familiar with our guest panelists, and I'll let you guys, unless you want me to call you out, tell us about your influences in songwriting. It could be a song, it could be an artist, but maybe each of you can kind of just briefly tell us a little bit about those influences.
Sure, I'll start. My influences was really rock heavy when I first started playing guitar. So like anything Seattle, so Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't until 2017 when I got to write with Creative Vets that my country influences started coming into my playing. Right now I'm listening to like Tyler Childers, Zach Bryan, Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, kind of stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of take those rock roots and blend it with my country influences now. So that's kind of where my sound's at.
Yeah, cool. And would it be a true statement to say that these influences, whoever they are or whatever song it might be, still carry over into your songwriting today? So Schaefer, I'm going to go to you with that. First of all, who are your influences, and does it carry over into the style of writing that exists today for you?
Yeah, it's kind of changed over the years, but I started playing guitar because I was just like, only music I listened to was Jimmy Buffett, and grew up on the beach. So I took my guitar down to the beach and just play. And that was when I started writing music, was just sitting on the sand by the water, like, yeah, here we go. And then Kenny Chesney came along, and that was like Jimmy Buffett and Kenny Chesney. And then Zach Brown Band. I was like, man, this is like my vibe, But in like 2008, I went to a Corey Smith concert, and I don't know, something about his songwriting and his style just felt like more me, because I listened to all types of music, and it just had a little bit of everything. And he considers himself country-ish. And I've been to like 30 concerts of his since then. And that was like the day I started like actually trying to write music. And still to this day, I think like my songs Stubborn and Blocked have a little raps in them or whatever, or a little bit of a funky vibe, but like coming from a country spot. And that's kind of his style. So I'd say my songs still have that style that made me start writing through Corey Smith.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm referring back for our class to chapter, really the stuff that we covered early on, your elemental artistry, identifying who it is that who resonates with you. And Jack, I guess the question that I have is, when you write, do you typically go back and take a look at some of the influences that came along with your music, and do you still consider them when you write? Is that something you still actively do, or has that changed? So first of all, who are your influences, or what are the influences on your music?
Sure. I kind of started from a different angle. I started writing poetry when I was, junior high school age. And but I was raised very much on country music, gospel music, that kind of stuff. But when I was in high school, there was actually two movies that were really influential to me. The Doors came out at that time, and I got really into Jim Morrison's, lyrical writing and the way he came to it from a poetry background instead of like a musical background. He didn't actually know anything about music. And also, there was a terrible movie that had Christian Slater in it. But anyway, it exposed me to Leonard Cohen. And Leonard Cohen was another one that I really just, it resonated so strongly with me when I heard the lyrics, that I was like, wow, I can be a songwriter. I can do that. But I still, even then, I just kind of played with it until I got older. But now when I look back, I try to take that same kind of poetry with more of a Guy Clark, Dwight Yoakam, Hank Williams kind of melding up, so you take the flowery poetry and then you just chop it down as much as I can to fit it into like a Hank Williams type song, so instead of all the nice flowery stuff, you just cut straight to the point is what I try to do nowadays to, still carry the spirit of those influences, that poetic lyrics, but then, get to the point and make it as short and quick as possible, like somebody like Hank Williams would do.
The approach that you're all using, they're all very unique to yourselves. They're very individual. And I think the takeaway from this, at least from, my perspective, is, you could go ahead and have the rule book. You got the rule book here, right? And you could follow it note for note, word for word, or you could just embrace what it is that this or any other process that you use for songwriting, and then you kind of tweak it a little bit to your way of writing. But hard and fast rules, they exist. Are there ways around them? It's really your call. So if you're thinking, I'm not following this rule, but it sounds good, it sounds like you're probably just showing your individuality and your skills as a songwriter who's got some ideas that are comfortable with you. So, Jesse, let me go on to the next question. Have you ever tried writing a song that isn't in your style? So say, for instance, all right, you're the Seattle grunge sound and, the country sound. Let's say, for instance, you wanted to write something more with funk. And I know everyone would go to Schaefer on this one, but I'm not going to go to Schaefer on a funk song because I've heard his music. It's awesome. But let's say you wanted to introduce funk. How do you approach something like that?
I would have to approach it by listening, like diving in, just listening to songs that would inspire me. Because I don't really have like a good foundation yet. So just listening, it's just a different genre that I normally listen to. I would just dive in by listening and seeing what normal progressions are for that style, or common lyrics or themes that jump out. So yeah, I would just start by listening.
Yeah, immersion, really. Mm. So and a lot of our attendees are new. They are new to songwriting. Some of them don't even have an idea musically how to approach this, and we're not really thinking about that right now. But farther on down the road, It's kind of like, what? I've tried finger picking, and I've tried strumming, and now I'm trying blues, and maybe a little bit of funk needs to be added in to kind of give it that right rhythm and groove kind of thing. But you don't really know that until, again, you immerse yourself into some of the songs with that particular style. Now, Schaefer, I know that you've got songs, and you just mentioned, funky earlier. It's kind of like, what is it that you discovered about that genre of music that is appealing to you? And did you have to learn a whole lot about it in order to implement it into your songwriting?
I think it was all accidental. So my granddad was in a funk band growing up. So when I was watching him play growing up, it was all funky rhythms and everything was that. And so when I learned how to play, that was how I ended up playing. Just had rhythm in my hand would do the drum beat, and it was kind of like all funky music, but then I would try to play country songs, and all my country songs sounded like funk songs. So I was like trying to break that because it's just the way I learned. And then, I mean, over the years, it's just become part of every type style of music I like. It just is the way I play it. I wish I could break out of that, but that's just the way I play it. So if I try to do something soft and simple, it's like, no, there's going to be a little bit of a, so.
Yeah. And I would imagine the crowd responds to that.
It's fun.
Yeah. All right. And let's see here. Let's go. Jack, I'm going to come to you now. When it comes to actually sitting down to write the song, we're going to look at the process of writing now, just to kind of review some of that. I would be curious about, how you approach song right now. We have these different elements. We've got the lyric, we've got the melody, we've got the chord progression, and we've got the rhythm and, really the groove itself. Those are some of the things that come to mind when it comes to Andrea's course, of course. But do you follow something like that every time you write a song? Is there something that works for you, or is kind of like, no, I just kind of, do this, a little that kind of a thing? Can you share with us a little bit about how you approach songwriting, with these elements?
Yeah, if I would say I'm 99% of the time a lyrics first person. Like I said, I come from poetry, so that's kind of where it starts. But I try to start with any kind of, emotion, and kind of just grab like word association with the emotion, and then start writing that down, and then try to put that into some kind of, not even necessarily a story or anything at that point, but metaphors, and just start trying to twist the words and play with, kind of see what falls out. And then, just once you kind of get that initial concept down, a lot of times there can be a title, the hook, just that initial concept of the emotion that the song is going to be. Is it going to be a party song? Am I just got dumped, or what's going on here? Then I just try to create a story by that, with the emotion, with the lyrics. And then, like I said, I try to chop it down into as simple as possible. And then I really struggle personally with getting it from the lyrics into the music part. And I know so many people do that, especially if you are a lyric-driven writer. So then I try to take the opposite approach with the music and take it as simple as possible. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to write this in E, so I'm doing the 1-4-5, simple, maybe even a 12-bar blues progression, to just something very simple, straightforward, to kind of get a form for the music, and then start just kind of massaging the words into that form, and then try to drop it back out. And then the more I play it and the more it comes to life, then you can start making the music more interesting, maybe even expand the lyrics back out a little bit more, but I try to take it down as simple as possible, and then expand it out as it goes, if that makes sense. I hope I didn't just like talk in circles, but
No, it actually does. And, that's a style that, works for you. And I think the message that we're learning throughout this course, this bootcamp series, is you got to make it your own. And whether or not it works like cookie cutter, which is a rare thing from what my conversations have been with a number of the songwriters, it's usually I kind of like the rhythm of that song, or I like this chord progression, but it seems to be different for every song. I want to go to prove this point. Now I'm going to go to Jesse and say, hey, Jesse, grab your guitar and let's talk about one of the songs that you've written, and maybe we can kind of apply some of the things that Andrea is talking about to this song. But first, maybe you can tell us, a little bit about the song itself before you play it for us, and then we'll go ahead and get into the song itself.
Okay. So the song is called Soldier Coming Home. I had an opportunity to go to Nashville in 2017 to work with creative vets, songwriters where Adam Fears, Martin McDaniel, and Richard Casper, and myself. I kind of just came with this theme, like I felt like an actor in my own life. I dealt with a lot of trauma, a lot of hard transitions from the military to civilian life. So I kind of took this snapshot and we were able to write this song. So it's called Soldier Coming Home.
Okay, real good. Jesse Frewerd, everyone.
Sun shining on a small town parade, celebrating me coming home today. Told a couple stories for the evening news, shook a few hands, got a few thank yous. Got to hold my baby girl for the very first time. She's got her eyes like a mama's and it knows I'm mine. Feels good to be standing on this southern ground, till the desert finds its way back around. So I fake a smile, put on a front. Can't forget these things I've done. My life has changed for Uncle Sam. This war goes on for who I am. The hell I seen just shakes me now. The business end of that 50 cal in a room full of people feel alone. Just playing the part of a soldier coming home. I'm not the man I used to be, but this guy in the mirror still looks like me. It's hard to act like things ain't changed, but I'm a leading role in a make-believe game. So I fake a smile, put on a front. Can't forget these things I've done. My life has changed for Uncle Sam. This war goes on, who I am. The hell I see just shakes me now. The business end of that 50 cal in a room full of people feel alone. Just playing the part of a soldier coming home. Coming home. 'Cause the hell I seen just shakes me now. The business end of that 50 cal in a room full of people feel alone. Just playing the part of a soldier coming home. Still playing the part, soldier coming home. Sun shining on a small town parade, celebrating me coming home today.
All right, way to go, Jesse.
Thanks.
Yeah, you played that for me and several others on so many occasions. And it's still vivid. I mean, the lyrics draw those images in my head. And I don't know. I'm hoping that our audience will go ahead and have some questions about that. If you do, about Jesse and the song itself, then by all means, go ahead and throw that in the chat feature. But let's talk about the lyric writing process for that particular song. Maybe you can talk through, some of the highlights from when the idea of writing that song came about, and all the way through, some of the challenges. all the way to the end. So let's start with the idea itself. Obviously, these are things that that are so deeply known and close to your heart. And I know one of the topics is write what you know, and that certainly came through in the lyrics. But maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah. So as I was saying earlier, like the common theme was just I had that idea of being an actor in your own life. So I kind of started with telling them a lot about when I got back. So just kind of gave them the details of the situation, the sun shining on a small town parade. Kind of Adam ran off with that kind of idea. Had a good melody start to the verse. Then I remember we got to like the second verse, and I threw out like got to hold my baby girl for the very first time, and then it was a little rough, didn't quite fit in there quite correctly the way I did it, and then Adam and Martin really helped me massage it into place. I just remember, yeah, like the soldier coming home part. Like I think I can't remember who said it, but it just felt like like that's it right there.
So Jesse, when you're coming up with these ideas, was there free writing or freestyle writing that was involved with this, or is just things that stick out that you definitely knew you wanted in the song?
In this one, since I was working with professionals and I was pretty new to the process and how it's done, like in Nashville. I didn't have much of a free writing. Like now, I would probably take Jack's approach more, like writing songs now. Like I'm really lyric driven. I'll do free writing exercises like Andrea's destination writing. I do that very often just to kind of get material to work with verses or just common things. But for this song, since I was working with professionals, they were able to just kind of take words that I was saying.
They make it look so easy, don't they?
Yeah. It was really eye opening. But now, like my process is very much like Jack's. Just having, like, it could be a title, it could be a theme, maybe even a couple lines. But I usually start with the lyrics too, and then I'll try to massage a chord progression around it. So
okay. In terms of getting the lyrics to where you wanted it, it's kind of like we're so tempted to rewrite the lyrics over and over and over and over. Can you offer some advice to our aspiring songwriters as to, what, it's going to be just fine. You don't have to go through 50 revisions of your lyrics. Just tell. But what's your tips for that?
Tips for that, I'd say, like, just get the idea out first. Like, there can be placeholders. Don't be too critical right away. Get the idea down. You can go back and kind of change things later if you need to. Like, but get as much down as you can right away. Like while the ideas are flowing. And then I think rewriting or kind of critiquing. What Jack said, definitely use placeholders. Yes, like if you want something, like you can't find the right rhyme word, just write something there and come back to it and get those ideas down.
Excellent. So it's like brainstorming or freestyle writing. It's get everything out while you can, because when you start to focus in on specifics of that free writing, like I want to use this and this and this, you'll have plenty to choose from, is really what it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, listen, I know time for you is limited, and I want to respect that, but I want to thank you, Jesse, so much for joining us for this portion of Songwriters Bootcamp. And you check in on us, and we'll do the same with you, all right?
Sounds good. Oh, thanks for having me. All right. Yeah, feel free to reach out to anyone if you got any questions. I'm on social medias, Instagram, all that good stuff. So,
really, yeah,
right.
yeah. And you can always reach out to me as well too, and I'll put you.
Yeah.
Yes, as well. Jesse, thank you again. Feel free to hang out if you like. I didn't want you to think that I wanted to keep you over, but
No, yeah, I better, like, I could hear the kids, like, knocking around upstairs, so, like, yeah, I better get back to that, so. All
okay.
right.
Okay, no
Thanks,
problem.
everyone.
Take care. All right, so let me do this. I'm going to bring my my group of panelists back here. There's Schaefer, and I see Jack here. Okay, so I wanted to let everyone know this is the next exercise that we're going to cover is from the poll, and this is the lyrical lens, which is a writing technique that suggests using an image to convey a concept. Create an example using this technique. And I'm going to start first. And I know that there are some participants on this call that wrote some up as well, too. And I'm hoping that you'll share yours. But here's the deal. I'll read mine first. And then the challenge is you write one. And if you do, then I just want you to raise your hand, I suppose. Just go to the chat and say, I got something. So here's mine. Mine is, when they can't agree, it's like riding on a roller coaster. They strap in, anxiously hold tight as they climb and swerve on the tracks uncontrollably, not knowing when the fear and uncertainty stops or where they'll end. So hopefully I don't have to explain too much about it. Basically, there's an argument going on. It's kind of like it's all over the place, like a roller coaster, and that's my submission for the lyrical lens. Now, is this a style of writing that you might that you've used, or is it something new to you as well? And if it's new, that's totally fine. It's new to me too.
This is something that I used, and actually the song I was going to play live for you today is basically right up this alley. It's I really enjoy taking, like I said, I really enjoy metaphors, things like that, and that's basically what we're talking about here, right? Is a metaphor of
exactly.
You're not saying and so it's really like if you start with the emotion and then you pull into, okay, well, how else can I say that other than oh, I'm sad today. What else can I say to make that more colorful, more interesting? Because everybody says I'm sad today. But
exactly. It's like you do want to keep the story moving forward in ways that maybe they haven't heard it that way before. But when you bring it out in your songwriting, like through the lyrical lens process, it certainly makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Schaefer, let me put you on the spot now. Is the lyrical lens process that this workshop is talking about, is that a style that you use? And again, not everyone uses it, not everyone has to use it, but is this something that you've used?
Not so much in the past with writing songs. I kind of just start with like a story I want to tell and just freestyle everything that comes to mind, and usually there's no metaphors or anything in it. So then I go back and try to forcefully put some in there, but it's not something that comes super simple to me. So I'm trying to work on that and use more ways of painting a picture for people to see it a little bit less cliche-y and stuff. So it's something I'm trying to work on, but not something I have in the past.
All right. Well, just so you know, everyone, it took me a couple hours to figure that one out for myself. It's like, you're right. It's not easy, but maybe for Jack it is, because he's familiar with poetry, and maybe that's his style. But for me, I got to tell you, it's like, I'm like, pick a noun. Pick a concept. So, but here's what I'd like to do right now is I would like to go ahead and see if those of you who have submitted your ideas in the poll would like to read them. And if so, just raise your hand. Or maybe I have to read them for you. Thanks, Michael. Michael, why don't you go ahead and unmute? And you've written a few. Why don't you share what you want right now? Let's make room for you. And if you want to just read it, great. If you want feedback, then also let us know. And happy to do that as well. We could do the either way. So
I'm always welcome for feedback.
Okay.
My latest one, though, the one I wrote the last time, kind of starts off with, a grandfather and his granddaughter. Papa, help, please. Yes, dear. Oh, puzzle, please, because that's the way my granddaughter talks. What's wrong with your puzzle? There are too many pieces. And then it goes, it would go into a song. Let's see, where am I starting? Okay. This puzzle of yours is coming along fine. It's just a matter of patience and time. The corners are in, the edges in line, but there's two pieces. They just don't fit. Most people want to belong in a line, to paint a big picture and then resign, live every day in the bustle and grind. But our two pieces are both free spirits. Pieces like ours are different puzzles, unique, free, adventurous, no muzzle. Just be yourself and build your own puzzle, because our two pieces, they just don't fit. And this whole thing started out with, it was my puzzle that I was writing about, on how, much like Jesse, it's like I don't feel like I fit in society after coming out of the military. So it's like my puzzle piece doesn't fit. And then it grew with my granddaughter coming in the picture. She's autistic. And then I got that image of the autistic puzzle. And it's like, the whole song was going to be more about her. And then she asked me about my puzzle at the very end. That just goes in a drawer, because that piece of puzzle is just old and worn.
Well, it's a great start. It's a great, the imagery that you're putting into these phrases has all of a sudden become, in my mind, lyrics. I mean, is this? Would you consider these a set of lyrics?
A start to lyrics?
Yeah, I mean, there are some references in here that certainly, visually and relatable. So I think it's a good start. I want to go back to our panelists here, and Schaefer and Jack, if by all means, feel free to add your thoughts as the panel songwriter, the panelist songwriters here that you might be able to offer, Michael.
Yeah, one thing I would say is that, sorry, Schaefer, I decided to jump in at the same time, but I would say one thing that I really enjoyed about it was the you worded it in your granddaughter's words, at least one section of it, and I think that is extremely powerful, because that we tend to talk and over explain things to the point where we kind of soften the impact a lot of times on what we've just said. Now, toddlers, you have to get everything out with the few words they know, and so that's a really strong way to look at what you're doing, and to look at the story you're trying to tell, is telling it with that perspective of using few very impactful words, but it's still strong. But yeah.
Hey, okay, thanks, Jack.
Thanks.
I know you're in an area where the internet connection is a little spotty, but I think we made out much of what it is that you said. But definitely, Michael, you're off to a great start. Schaefer, you had some comments to add to that.
I'll just make one that I liked. I really liked. I don't know if it was intentional the whole way through or not, but I really loved it. Like the words that didn't rhyme, that didn't fit, were the ones that were about being a puzzle piece that didn't fit. And I was like, man, that's just like an extra level to the whole concept. And that stood out to me. I really liked that. So
thanks.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there are some styles that kind of expect a rhyming structure. But I'm not one that likes to have to rhyme, or maybe it sounds close to a rhyme. I don't know if that's considered a rhyme or being close to a rhyme, but
Slant rhyme.
I mean, it comes down to what's the story you want to tell, and if it doesn't rhyme, hey, if it makes sense and it's relatable, that's what sticks out to me. So yeah, good point, Schaefer, for sure. All right, let's see here. I have is there Jay, did you want to read yours? Do you want me to read? You want to read yours? You ought to just read yours. Go ahead and read it, Jay. if unless you want me to, you just let me know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thanks a lot. Here, on a second here. I'm gonna read Jay's. All right. So sometimes my mind wanders and reworks other lyrics. One of my rewrite attempts was inspired when Tom Petty died. Learning to fly, these angel wings coming down, no longer a thing, started out on a dusty road. Now it's on these streets of gold. I like that. Nice. Nice start. Nice start. Did I read that? I read that kind of like poorly. So what message do you want to? You read better than I do. I like what are your thoughts on that one, Jay? Now that you've basically put down the words, what do you think you want to do with these next? Is it something you want to turn into a song, a story?
I've always been a big Tom Petty fan, and when he died, it just started.
Yeah.
I play a lot of his tunes on bass with Rocksmith, and one day I was playing "Learning to Fly," and this stuff just started pouring into my head.
Yeah.
So,
He was such an influence, from the 80s on.
yeah.
So many people. He's even when he went on to a solo career as well too. So yeah, that's a wonderful topic to be, to write about, to, your personal thoughts. Thank you for sharing that. And I look forward to seeing what happens to the rest of the song. Anyone else have something that they would like to, and I don't know if I have everyone.
Laney does.
Laney, let's go for it, Laney. You actually posted something on the poll itself on the Learning Center. So, I hope we're pronouncing your name correct. Is it Laney or is it Lonnie?
It's Lonnie, like the Hawaiian name.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Aloha. Well, okay, go for it. Lonnie, let's take a listen to what it is that you've got.
Sure. I'd like the discussion in the chat about using simile and metaphor, because that's exactly what I tried to do here, because there was an experience that I couldn't say exactly the details. So I liked that we could use simile and metaphor to kind of express it, but not have to kind of get into those weeds. So it might sound a little bit complex, but this is what I ended up with. In the transitional caldera, the hopeless wanderer plants a chair and an umbrella. The phoenix sun's funeral pyre, dunked in the emotional volcanic baptism by fire. Scorpiana lava stings the final blow as the wildlife wade through the shade room landscape show. Eagle overseeing the tree canopy, sun dances with the branches and leaves in between. Serpentine coiled roots recycle the soul, slurping ambrosia for the gods of old. That's it.
All right. Wow. What thoughts? And I see Jack is smiling. And Jack, do you have something to share?
Yeah, I was just going to say I love that. That is beautiful. That's exactly the kind of stuff that gets me going. Yeah, beautiful imagery. Wonderful imagery.
You definitely could visualize so much of that, Lonnie. What inspired you to write that?
Actually, I wrote that in the chat. I'll read it exactly to you, what I wrote.
Sure.
I said, to find the words to express a deep, agonizing pain that feels like hanging on by a thread and trying so much to find any shred of hope to have left. Sometimes it feels like waiting to die. Everything gets messy, and then life goes on for everyone else. That was it.
Yeah. This writing, is it helping you release some of of these feelings? Do you find that this songwriting is an avenue for you, an outlet for you?
100%. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of what it is that you're writing about for sure. In fact, everyone's just contributing some really creative, thoughtful, imagery here. And this is Ken. I'm going to just come to you for a second here. Let's talk a little bit about when we first launched this process of introducing songwriting. What are you seeing here with this group compared to, say, the first couple of workshops that you hosted?
Oh my God, the amount of input that's coming in is so much more. So many more people are participating, and the level of their participation is so much higher than what I expected coming out of what we were getting from the earlier sessions. I'm really surprised.
These aren't just surface thoughts; these are deep thoughts.
No,
Are like,
yes.
Wow, we're tapping really into this creative part of the spirit or of the soul itself, and it's
whenever I had the idea for the course. I mean, this is the type of stuff that I had in mind of seeing and hearing from everybody. So I'm glad to see it come to fruition. So
right,
and excited about what's coming.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Let me just close this particular topic out. I want to thank you all for sharing your thoughts. And if you didn't have a chance to share everything, think about posting it. I actually created that post, Songwriters Bootcamp Homework Challenge Lesson 8. Feel free to add to that thread, and we'll keep an eye on it and give you constructive feedback, answer your questions there. But I'd like to move on to the next topic because we are at the top of the hour, 11 o'clock here in the Pacific. And let's talk about the importance of a title. All right, the importance of a title. Let me first go to my guests on this one here. So Jack, let's talk about how you arrive at a title. When you come up with, I've got an idea for a song. Does it usually come at the start, or does it usually come elsewhere when it comes to a title?
Honestly, if a lot of times it will come at the start, but then when I get the song written, I go, you know what, that title isn't going to work anymore. It's too generic. It's too simple. It doesn't actually tell the whole story of the song or whatever. And so I almost always redo the title once the song is written. And that's kind of I think that's maybe just my own personal thing, but I'm very much wanting to be aware of things like like I have a song that I wrote that initially the title was "I Am the Phoenix Rising," and I said, "Man, that's a great title. It's perfect. It fits everything." And then I go to Google the title, and there's 600 songs called that. I'm like, okay, well that doesn't really work anymore for me, and so you have to go find something else, and then you dive back into the lyrics. So while I definitely am a big believer in using like a title to get started and as inspiration, if you find something like Tom Petty's "Learning to Fly." I'm learning to fly. That's a great inspiration. But then it's quite possible that by the time you get through writing that song, you go, oh, okay, well, it's not learning to fly. I actually knew how to fly, and I forgot how to fly, and I'm relearning how to fly, so I need to change the, just things like that is, just making sure that it's, A, really tells the story that you're trying to tell with the song, B, unique, and not, I love you, like a million other songs. Right. And C, I forgot what C was. My brain is not working today. So
okay.
Anyway, but yes.
You're on the road. Are you on the road right now? I mean, are you, because I know you're traveling. You mentioned to me that you're traveling.
I'm actually in an RV park and that's why I have really spotty Wi-Fi right now. So sorry, it's not
you're traveling.
Well.
You're a traveling songwriter right now.
At the moment. Hopefully in the foreseeable future.
Okay, cool. Schaefer, I want to come to you now when it comes to titles itself. How often do you come into a situation where, all right, yeah, I do think I know the title, but I know you've written a bunch of songs. Do you usually end up using the same title that you originally thought you were going to use?
Almost never. So I've started a bunch of songs with a concept, but never with a title. Like Jack was saying, like I just never go in there with a single title, but just like an idea. So usually the same way at the end of the song, I kind of play it. But once the song's completely finished, I kind of just like play it back and listen to it and like what sticks out to me that would be a good title. And then usually that's just a working title for like 6 months until I decide to actually write it down. And I usually hate the title by the time it's all said and done. So I pick a new title. And until one works for like multiple months, it doesn't stick. So a lot of my songs have changed. Like, for example, I wrote one semi recently, and it was going to be, oh man, I don't even, The Things I Do. And it was just like a whole song about me being like a piece of whatever to my ex-wife, even though I wasn't, but it was like from somebody else's standpoint. It's like just making all the wrong choices in your life and stuff. And the hook is like, why do I do the things I do? And then as I listened to it, I was like, actually, Hard-Headed Fool is a better name for this song. And so I ended up switching it. And I'll workshop a lot at live gigs, and I'll be like, I don't have a name for this. What do y'all think? And then people will throw out some. I'm like, hey, that's actually a good name, just based off what they hear. But the song Happy, that one was originally called Never Let It Show. And that's what I stuck with because that's a line in it. And it's about somebody committing suicide or about to. And they're like, everybody's going to, once I'm gone, say, we never knew, he never let it show, you know? And he always looks so happy. And so it was originally Never Let It Show. And then when I recorded it, the producer was like, you should change the name to Happy. I was like, why? He's like, it just fits better. Like, because people are going to think it's a happy song, but it's a song about somebody fake being happy and hiding in their depression. And I was like, okay, well, what about Pharrell Williams? He's like, even better. People are going to Google Happy looking for his song and come across yours. And I was like, whatever. And now
It's like a marketing trick.
Yeah, I think it was, but it worked out because now people have heard the song, and I think it's a lot easier than when I was playing it live for like a year, calling it Never Let It Show. Nobody remembered it. But when I call it Happy, people are like, oh, that song Happy. I like that. It's like, okay, just something shorter and to the point, and it wored. So I'll go through iterations of song titles.
Do you have that guitar handy? Did you want to play that?
I can, yeah.
Grab that guitar because I think it's an important point. Because once everyone takes a listen to the song itself, and you're probably thinking, I don't know what I would want to call this song. Maybe after Schaefer sings it, you got a better idea as to, what the song title might be. And then think about how you might want to name your work, your writings.
Yeah, so this one, actually, when I was thinking about it while you were talking, it actually started off, this is one of those songs where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to call it. So for 6 months, I called it Laying on the Floor. And then I think 6 months, I called it Never Let It Show. And then when I got recorded, I had to make a decision. And it was neither of those. It was Happy. So this is Happy.
Well, I'm laying on the floor, staring at the ceiling. I've been here for hours. I'm empty, got no feeling. Well, I'm laying on the floor, just staring at the ceiling. I've been here before. I'm empty, got no feelings. I can't explain it. I'm not sad, but I start to cry. I don't understand it. I don't feel like myself inside. I'm laying on the floor, just staring at the ceiling. I've been here for hours, just fighting back my demons. They'll say he always looks so happy. You never would have known. Yeah, he always looks so happy. He never let it show. They'll say he always looks so happy. You never would have known. Yeah, he always looks so happy. He never let it show. But I'm laying on the floor, just staring at the ceiling. I've been here before. I'm empty, got no feelings. No, these drugs ain't helping. And they're just killing me faster now. These drugs ain't helping. And they're just letting more demons out. These drugs ain't helping. And they're just killing me faster now. These drugs ain't helping. And they're just letting more demons out. I'm laying on the floor, staring at the ceiling. I've been here before. I'm empty, got no feelings. They'll say he always looks so happy. You never would have known. Yeah, he always looks so happy. He never let it show.
That was just wonderful. Just what, it's as good as I remember it. And I know that this was a song that a lot of people at Hero Stock Ashland last year in Nebraska, and it's kind of like they're throwing out the name Happy. They knew the title. It stuck with them. So good choice in the title, but it's such an excellent song. I'm still blown away by the original video that you did for it, as simple as it may sound. Probably was like, that was the old me. But it was
too long ago. No, but thank you.
There's something to be said about, when you first put the song together and you record it for like the first time or the earliest times that you perform it, something very genuine about it before, bringing it to your bandmates and they, dice it, slice it, and then you go into the recording studio and the producer, let's call it that instead. It's kind of goes through a change. In a way that is kind of like a little different from the original concept. But can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think the feeling of it changes, especially like, I don't know how loud I am. In my ears, I'm not that loud. But so, yeah, I think that the whole vibe changes as more hands get on it. And as it becomes more complex, sometimes you lose the feeling of the words. So I think when I play it live solo, I get more reaction than when I play it with a band, because it just kind of gets lost in the music when it's with the full band or when it's fully produced. And that first video was just me and the guitar. And I know it's a very simple song with simple chord progression. Not simple chords, but a simple progression that never changes. But I've stuck with that. When I wrote that song, I was literally laying on the floor for like days, just didn't want to move, stop playing music, grab my guitar, and I was like, I'm just going to try to write something, hit record on my phone. And it was just, I was depressed and lazy. So I was like, these are chords that take two of my fingers and I just move it up and down the neck, and just very boring chords. And that's what I wrote the song to. And I never changed it, because I think anything else I tried with it, the words didn't, the vibe changed. So that one's like this, the backbeat is so boring and lazy that the words kind of stick out and it kind of matches them. And then when I went to go record it, the root's still there. It's still the progression, but there's like bass lines and all sorts of stuff, a bunch of Coldplay stuff. And I don't know, it doesn't seem as sad and suicidal. It seems kind of,
yeah, interesting. By the way, I check out the chat, and you've got a number of comments that relatable. This song is very relatable to them. So,
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Way to go to
I just wanted
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted to say also that I really love the the first off, in retrospect, you may have poisoned it for me, but it seems to me that the title of that would obviously be happy. It just screams it to me almost. But I love the fact that it's a very almost upbeat kind of feeling with the thing, and and it sounds really upbeat unless you actually listen to what you're saying, and then you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's not quite so happy, and so it kind of sneaks up on you, and I really like that. I really like that a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, now I hear it as happy, and I never would have thought of that name. Never crossed my mind until it was suggested, and I was like, all right, from here on out, I'm taking suggestions from anybody that hears my song. What do you hear the title? And that worked out the best, I think. So.
Well, listen, I'm going to bring everyone on screen here and to give input. Let's talk about how to find titles, right? Ken, I'm going to go to you first, but it's kind of like I'm having trouble finding a title or coming up with a title. Brainstorming. Let's go and talk a little bit about this. Ken, what was your idea?
Tom, everywhere. The titles are everywhere. So we found the song "Tongue River." We were eating, and there was a river on the table in front of us on the placemat, and it just said Tongue River. And I looked at my wife and had this, boyish grin on my face. I was like, I got to write a song about this. Don't have a clue about Tongue River. Never been there. Didn't even know it was a thing. And, sat down and started writing down the verses and, had this melody in my head. And, we were talking about placeholders earlier, and verse 2, it's like a big placeholder because I know what I want to say. I just don't know how to do it. So I just, was playing, and whatever came to my mind, I kind of just wrote it in. So, if you don't mind, you want me to share a little bit of it?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, down by the banks of the Tongue River, there's a secret that the old folks know. If you dive in deep, it'll make you shiver. It's a ride you'll never want to let go. Right in the Tongue River, feeling so fine, with the current that'll take you where the sun don't shine. Hold on tight, baby, let it deliver all the thrills and spills on the Tongue River.
Oh, boy.
And then so on verse 2, it's like, there's a spot on the bend, near the bend where the water's getting thick. It's a place where the wild things play. If you dip your toes, you'll get caught in the trick, and you'll find yourself swept away.
Someone got their song written already. I
got it all. It's all
it
there.
started with just a dinner menu.
Just a dinner menu, yeah. And, there's another song I wrote, Blonde Hair, Blue-Eyed Firecracker. My wife was, being a little feisty, and I told her she was my firecracker, and she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. So, blonde hair, blue-eyed firecracker.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And then she was like, she'd been on me about riding my Case tractor during that week. And the next line was, you turned me on like my Case tractor. And so it all kind of just fell into place, just things that were going on, around me. And that's the way a lot of the songs go. This last song I found scrolling through Facebook, and there was a story about a World War II vet who was celebrating his 105th birthday last year. And in the story, he told the reporter asked him, what his secret to life was, and told him he really didn't have a secret, that I guess the devil don't want me and the Lord won't have me. I'm just too mean to die. And so that wrote itself too.
That was performed in front of a group of audience, right? You actually had that performed. So, songwriter Ken Busby. Very cool. Hey, listen, let me ask anyone else, where do we find these titles? Where do you go looking for them? Or do you even go looking for them? Do they just pop up into your head? Yeah, please. Anyone. Be looking anywhere.
Mine's like Ken said, just like there's a lot of songs that I come in with a plan, but a lot I'll just be doing something throughout the day, and something will just pop out at me as like a good hook, mostly while I'm driving down the road. And I'm like, something pops in my head. I'm like, dang, that could be a good song. That's a good thing to write about. And then I'll record that line that I saw as a song, and then whatever else comes after it. But it's usually part of the hook or whatever. But just like random things in life, like I can't think of a specific example right this second. But I know like when I'm driving, just random things will pop up or doing something out, and I'm like, oh, hold on, let me get my phone and let me put that in the notes. I'm going to use that later, and I'll forget about it for months, and then go back to it and be like, oh shoot, that's a good line. But
Isn't that cool? It's like I know I keep a running list of song titles and lyrics as well too. It's in my phone. It's kind of like you got a minute to scroll back at some of the old notes and looking for something else, and I was like, oh, I forgot about this. And if you don't write this stuff down, if you don't keep track, and I'm addressing everyone here, you're missing out. You want to keep track of these ideas because, last thing at night, 11 p.m. is kind of like, I'll write it down tomorrow. I don't know about you, but I don't remember what I was thinking about 11 o'clock at night and wake up the next.
That never happens.
No, never at all.
I'll forget a song 30 minutes later. I'll be in the middle of writing it, and by the time I get to the last verse, I forgot what I did in the first verse. So I have to record it, and then, it's just, I'll forget it within minutes. So you got to write it down.
All right, real good. John, did I see you raise your hand? Did you? Okay. Well, listen, I want to say, John, go ahead.
Yeah, how you doing, Tom? Good to see everybody. Going off of breakfast, which we kind of touched on, before, I came up with a little start to a song, and the title changed from breakfast to morning comfort, and basically it goes early a.m. the coffee's hot, kitchen is dim, but my mind is not. Bacon or sausage, why not both? With some cheese and eggs is what I like most. I like to cook outside. It makes my neighbors drool. After breakfast, I'm in comfort, or I am the breakfast host. And I'm just and that's where I kind of left off that, playing around with it.
I want to remind John that when we first got together for songwriting, it was basically, he was really stuck on lyrics on one song, and he had written another, but this is now just kind of coming out of you, isn't it, John? It's like these ideas are now just kind of flowing.
They really are. And it's been a busy week for me. Friday or Thursday night was our change of command at the post, and I'm no longer the commander of the post finally after the third term. And so
there's a song in that. I want you to think about.
There is, as a matter of fact, and just sitting here, I was also been very involved with Honor Flight, and a volunteer with them for the last 5 years, and gone back to DC twice with them. But just sitting here listening to all this just now, why haven't I never even looked at writing a song about Honor Flight and what these veterans do when they go back there? And so that's probably going to be my next attack there.
Thank you for sharing that. And I will say this, is that once you start writing, all of a sudden the world kind of opens up. It's like, I never thought about writing this, but now you've got, some ideas. And the next step obviously is to go and free write. Just get out there and start writing things down, scratch them down, or put them in your mobile device. Just scratch down a few ideas. You come back to it later, and then you can continue to expand on those ideas, and you won't forget it because it's all written down. But writing it down is the real important piece here.
Absolutely, yeah. Right. And thanks. It's been a great ride so far, and it's just getting better, man.
Hey, congratulations, Brian, stepping down as commander, because you did.
Yeah, thank you so much. There's no more weight up here on this thing,
I had a chance to come visit you over at that post, and I was, really excited to see, everything that goes on there. You guys run a really great post. So,
well, thank you. We have a lot of fun, and it's good.
Good deal. All right. So the last topic of discussion today is the point of view, and this is primarily the use of pronouns. Who are you writing the song about? Are you writing about yourself, I? Are you writing about second person, you, or he, she? However, I want to bring this up as a topic discussion for our panelists, for our songwriters. Jack, let me start with you. How do you approach songwriting when it comes to, the use of identity, the pronouns, if you will? Is it usually something that you write about someone else, or do you write about yourself, or what are some of the things that you think about when it comes to approaching songwriting and who the story is about?
Well, I was told long ago, and I am a firm believer still, that first person is almost always strongest, unless you are specifically wanting to not write in first person. But if you tell the story in first person, it almost always will resonate with someone better because they put themselves in the story automatically. You know, if you're telling them I and they're hearing I, it automatically puts them deeper into the story, I think. But one thing that have been playing with a bit lately, but I haven't had a whole lot of success, is instead of necessarily changing to like a third person kind of view, one thing that I think is really fascinating is the Steel Drivers is an old bluegrass band, and Chris Stapleton used to be the singer for them and did a lot of their writing. Well, they have a song called Sticks That Make Thunder, and it's told in first person perspective, but it's told from the perspective of a tree witnessing the Civil War. And it's just such an interesting way to completely shift the perspective of the story and retell it of, the Civil War, this horrible thing that happened in human history, but from a tree, it was like, yeah, these dudes came out and made a bunch of noise, and that was kind of weird. And that was, and so it really changes everything about the song in such a way, about the story in such a way that it's, so unique that I've been really trying to play with something like that more so than, telling it from, I see him and them doing this and that, it's very much, I don't know. I just thought that was very interesting. I've been trying to play with that kind of perspective lately.
When it comes to the songwriting and the storytelling and shifting the perspective, it really broadens the imagery, in terms of telling the story itself, rather than just, a single perspective and shifting it to others. It kind of gives it a different. I want to read a song that you probably are all familiar with. It's I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash. Let me just read the first verse. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the ties that bind. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Let's shift the perspective to you keep a close watch on this heart of mine. You keep your eyes wide open all the time. You keep the ends out for the ties that bind. Because you're mine, you walk the line. How does that sound? I mean, how is that different? Does it kind of change the perspective of the song itself simply by changing the pronouns? I mean, what are your thoughts, Schaefer, on that one? Have you thought about playing around with some of your song lyrics and with pronouns?
Yeah, and that definitely changes the vibe of that song. But to Jack's point, like I don't know, the storytelling just needs to be from from first person. It just makes more sense. I've definitely tried to break that habit and write in like second or third person, from like a short story standpoint in English class. Like, all right, this is how we're going to write it. But it all sounds stupid. It's like, it doesn't work. It works for Jack and Diane. Little ditty about Jack and Diane. I mean, that works. But I mean, it has to be right. And the fact that most of the songs I write from my life, like my songs are about my story, my life, but I want to make them relatable to everybody. So it's like, maybe I don't say I as much, but then it doesn't feel like a story about somebody's life. It's kind of weird. So it doesn't hit the same. So, and most, if not all of my songs are some kind of part of my life. So it just makes sense to be in first person, and it doesn't feel the same if you change it. I've tried changing a few and make it less like just about a guy on his deathbed. One Last Rodeo, a song I wrote, I tried writing that one in like third person, of being like the outside looking in or whatever on the whole situation. It didn't make as much sense, and then it became the guy on his deathbed singing, pleading to God, pleading to his family, give me one more night of fun before I go. It's like that wouldn't be the same, not in first person. So
Interesting perspectives. Now, I'll be honest with you. When I write, I don't want to write about me. Like the Captain song I did earlier, it's kind of like, it's easier to write about them. Can't take the attention off of me. But then again, there was that other song I did last week that I showed everyone riding on the back of my Harley. And it was definitely a song about from my perspective. I guess what I like to do is I like to shift the perspective just to get a different feel for whatever story I'm trying to convey. I personally, I don't think one is stronger than the other, but then again, that's my style. What's your style, everyone? Who do you want to write about? And when you decide what you want to write about or who you want to write about, run it through that test of the pronouns. Use the pronouns, where a pronoun exists in your lyrics, and see what it sounds like. And if it sounds great, go with it. Otherwise, change it around, see what it sounds like, and take it from a different perspective, just for giggles, if you will. All right. Jack.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one other thing real quick. Another thing about perspective, though, is you can also take it into kind of like Lonnie's lyrics earlier. There was quite a bit of metaphor and things like that. So it's really not, it becomes less of a story saying, I did this, I did that. And it becomes just like a global story where there's not really necessarily a single perspective, and it just becomes kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, it just becomes bigger than just hey, I went to the park and blah 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 or whatever. It becomes more of a like a almost fairy tale kind of thing, I guess, is what I'm looking for. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm just trying to say that in addition to writing in first person or a perspective, you can write just kind of a general, images that convey an emotion, like what she was doing with her, volcanoes and a traveler and sets up, he's doing something, but you're not really telling the story of him. You're just you're conveying the emotion through a very kind of abstract sense. So then perspective, I think, becomes a lot less personal, a lot less defined, and a lot less important compared to the overall story of, and it can even shift in and out of perspectives.
It's a technique.
Anyway, hope that makes sense.
Yeah, the technique that Andrea does share in her course guide and her videos, and this kind of brings us to the close of today's session 3. We just to kind of go back through what it is that we talked about. We looked at the lyrical lens. We did some examples of that. So if you're not familiar with that, go back to Andrea's course guide, check that out. We did Vantage Point. We talked about that, the importance of a title and the point of view. So we've covered all 10 chapters. So the next time that we meet up, which is a week from today, same time, what we're going to do is we've got 3 more songwriters coming our way. Derek Thompson is going to be here, and he's been here once before. We've got Matthew Jones, who's been here once before, and Briella Steiner, who is the daughter, singer-songwriter of USMC veteran Jason Steiner's, the G4V graduate and also the president of HeroStock. And we're going to be talking about, basically going through chapters 1 through 10, fielding your questions, hearing maybe some of your writings, if you're willing to share it with us. If it's become a song, then by all means, bring it along, because we want to see what progress you've made throughout our entire series. So any closing thoughts, Jack, for the aspiring songwriters?
Yeah, just remember that it's your song, it's your story to tell. And all these things we talk about are tools that you can use to make things stronger, but there are no absolutes. You can play with it, have fun, just don't feel like if I do something with so many new songwriters are like, oh, well, this rhyme pattern doesn't match, and the stanzas aren't exactly working out, and just kind of let all that go. There's plenty of time to deal with that if you want to get that heavy into it. The main point is to relax, tell your story, get it out of you, and feel better, or whatever you're trying to do through songwriting. And don't stress about it. It's a stress relief, not a stressor.
Thank you, Jack. All right. Hey, Schaefer, final thoughts?
Jack and I are on the same page. I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say, if it, to make it easy, just let it flow. If you're writing a song, let it flow. If you get stuck, you got to let it go. Like, don't stress over stuff, and don't try to force things into little boxes, because you'll never finish the song. Just let it flow or let it go. That's my thought.
All
You got to
right.
get rid of. I have songs that never got finished because they got stuck. So it's not worth telling, or you're just going to stress yourself out over it. And that's not the point of songwriting. So
It's supposed to be fun, I guess. Is that a true statement? Yeah.
unless you're making millions off of it and you have to punch out like 8 songs a day, then you force it and hope one sticks to the wall. But
Is that what they're doing in Nashville these days?
I think so.
It wouldn't surprise me. My goodness, they're so good. All right. Well, listen, gents, thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone who attended today's Songwriters Bootcamp. Again, we'll be doing this on May 10th, 10 a.m. Pacific. Just pick the right time zone. Come back with some of the works that you've done, some of your writings, if you'd like to share it. It's supposed to be graduation. And we've got 3 new songwriters that you can go ahead and approach your questions, your comments, your thoughts, bounce it off of them, just like Schaefer and Jack have done with us today. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Stick around. Hopefully we'll have a little post-show green room party virtually here. You can ask some questions to both Schaefer and Jack if they've got time to stick around. And until next time, I am Tom Lamog, Guitars for Vets, and we will see you next week.